Well, Dave, Wednesday marked a year to the day since your appointment as Stockport County manager. It's not been a bad year, has it?
No, it's been a great year. I was thinking and speaking to Kate about it the other day. It sort of has flown by, yet in another breath seems to have been a long time, a lot longer than a year. But no, it's been great on the whole in terms of where we were when we came into where we are now, and we continue to sort of build on that, and hopefully the next year can be as successful.
I mean, that title win is the obvious highlight of your time here so far, but what have the other standout moments been for you?
Most of it's been, like I say, been really, really pleasing. I think, like you say, you go back to last season, not just the lifting of the trophy and the winning of the league. I mean, to win 20 games out of 21 games is an unbelievable achievement, and one that I'd suggest if it's ever bettered in terms of me and my managerial career, I'm doing pretty well. That really set down the foundations of us going on to win the National League. But it's all been great. It's been really enjoyable. It's a great place to work. Doesn't seem like work. We've got a brilliant bunch last year. We've evolved that, and I've got a great bunch this year. And like I say, we hope we can continue to be successful with what we've got, and continue to move the club forward.
Back to the here and now, I was speaking to Will Collar last week, and he said he felt like the side had now turned that corner since the start of the season. Suddenly you're only 5 points off the playoff places. Have you felt a shift in momentum, in confidence around this place?
I've said before, football clubs are a different place when you've won football matches, and unfortunately that's always going to be the case. So there'll always be people feeling a little bit sorry for themselves when they've not won, and myself included. You've got to move on from that. You got to get better with it, with age and with experience. But I think what we have done is we've done the basics a lot better, and we've cut out the individual mistakes that were damaging for us in terms of goals we've conceded. We've been pretty miserly in terms of opportunities that we've conceded against ourselves, which has been the case from the start of the season, to be fair. And at the other end, we've been creating more things, and importantly, being more clinical. Alongside that, as is the case, there's plenty of variables in football. You need a little bit of luck, and we've had that along the way. Whereas probably the start of the season, everything that potentially could go wrong did go wrong for us, and that all of a sudden makes the place a completely different environment in terms of work, and in terms of individual players' belief, in terms of the group belief within each other, and long may that continue.
Just in terms of injuries recently, obviously Vít Jaros has missed a few weeks now. I think the original assessment was that he won't be out for too long. What's the latest on him? Yeah,
so there was slight concerns around sort of, without going into too much detail, a ligament that attaches the two bones close to his knee. We had an MRI scan, and that confirmed there'd been a stretching of that, not too significant, and it's a case of letting that settle. It's conservative management. There's nothing needs doing. No injections, no operations, things like that. We just got to let the healing process run its course, really. But we're hoping to have him, I think, he's been back on the grass and done some handling work. We're hoping to have him properly back on the grass within the next sort of 7 days, so not too concerning, and hopefully he can get out there as quickly as possible. It is about being able to tolerate some pain, which on the side of your or top of your shin, side of your knee, it is pretty painful, but hopefully that'll dissipate and he can get back out there.
And on the positive side, Ben's come in and not conceded a goal since as well. So again, highlighting that strength in depth that you've got.
Yeah, again important, and we've always said it around. As a goalkeeper, it's really difficult because people will ask, well, who's your number one and who's your number two? I suppose you have a choice depending on how you want to go, whether you do go with a number one, and if your number one does get injured, then is your number two able to step up and do a job securely, or do you go with ultimately two number ones that are competing for one place? It's important there you have the right characters. I think we have that. So Ben, probably similar to the back end of last season when I came in, Ethan had the jersey and then put Ben in, and Ben stayed in for the majority of the season from that point on. Ben started the season this year, came out the side. Veet's done well. An injury, like you say, and Ben stepped in and done a solid job for us, as we would expect. So confidence in both of those two, and I know both really competitive in the right way, to drive each other forwards and compete for that shirt in a, like say, in a role where there aren't many other options for them. It's one or the other.
You've also had the likes of Maka, Joe Lewis, Ryan Rydell working the way back to full fitness for a while now. How is the squad looking going into Saturday, and do you see this game as an opportunity to start easing those players back in?
Yeah, they're all in good shape. This month's, like I say, pretty fractured in terms of league games, but the FA Cup absolutely brings an opportunity for them to be involved. It's 9 subs, which helps. They've had a good couple of weeks under their belts rather. And I suppose the good thing is we wanted to do that knowing that if we absolutely needed them, then we could call upon them. But to be able to get them a good solid 2 weeks on the grass in terms of full-time contact training has meant that we've not had to force things and had to put them at risk. This weekend will give us an opportunity to, like I say, to feed them back in and get them some minutes in certain instances. But ultimately, it is a chance for us to look at things but it's a game that's really important to us. As I said after the game on Tuesday, go back a year, that this competition provided a catalyst for what was an unbelievable run for ourselves. And this game is not a catalyst as such because we're on a decent run. It's a maintain a momentum game really, against a good side who play in a really unique way and will test us in lots of different parts of our game. But it's a game, like I say, we want to win, we want to progress.
Yeah, you've had a lot of players that have played a lot of minutes over the last couple of games, so I suppose it's finding that right balance between freshening things up but not disrupting that momentum that you've built up over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, the competition is important to everyone, but we won't be risking players that, like I say, we manage everything in terms of players' loads. There are some that are at a bigger risk than others. There are some that have come back in and played a large number of games, if you like, in terms of consistently Saturday, Tuesday for the last couple of weeks, who maybe haven't played a lot of football prior to that. So we may need to look at things and be careful. But I think, as I said or on Tuesday, you look around at the bench that we had. We've got a real strength in terms of our squad, and the players that we bring in are more than able deputies, shall we say, and within their own right should be starting in a team, and that's I suppose the benefits we have with having such a strong squad.
Just a word on the FA Cup itself. I mean, there seems to be this debate every single year about how seriously teams take it, but I mean, you go back to that Bolton game, probably one of the greatest nights Edgley Park has ever seen, and certainly proved a catalyst. The league's your bread and butter, but it remains a pretty special and unique competition, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially for, like I say, for when it was last year, non-league teams, a chance to play against football league teams as a lower division team. Now a chance to play against one of the big boys if you get to that third round. Lucrative in terms of prize money, lucrative in terms of exposure. But I think the reality of it is, it fits or comes in a part of the season where teams will look after their own or have different priorities, whether that's, like you say, to kickstart something and get some momentum going, whether that's to maintain momentum, or whether teams are sat in a really strong position in the league and sat top of the table and are clear. And if that were the case with us, then you wouldn't be risking lots and lots going into these games, if you like. So everyone will have a different approach to it. The fact of it is, it's a brilliant cup competition that has lots of history, lots of prestige, has brought some brilliant moments, myself as a player and as a manager, and you want to stay in the competition for as long as possible. If the club can benefit along the way and get one of them draws that will be, like I say, not only for the players and the staff, but for the supporters and for the for Mark and for all the staff, that almost becomes a bit of a thank you, then that's an added bonus.
And in terms of Swindon probably one of the better sides to visit Edgeley Park so far this season, and sort of like ourselves have really kicked on again since then.
Yeah, I think in terms of their in possession stuff, I like I say, I'm a real fan of them in terms of how they go about things, unique in their rotations, and they ask you real questions. I think they're the best team in possession that have visited Edgeley Park this year. In saying that, we pinched the ball in good areas, and on a different day had some really good opportunity and could have won the game. But they're well coached, have intelligent footballers. Again, we have no idea as to what their view on the game will be Saturday. I'm sure they'll come looking to, regardless of what team they pick, play their brand of football and be pretty open. From our side of things, we want to be aggressive, we want to be on the front foot, we want to try and stop that. But I'm sure it'll be a good game between two good teams.
Yeah, it certainly will. Dave, thanks for talking to us.
Cheers, thank you.